پاکستان کا بھارت کے ساتھ مسئلہ صرف کشمیر ہے، باقی ہمیں کوئی دشمنی نہیں، لیکن بھارت کا مسئلہ پورا پاکستان ہے اور اس کا ثبوت 1971 کی جنگ ہے۔ اور یہ پورا پاکستان کا مسئلہ جو بھارت کے سر پر سوار ہے، یہ صرف بھارت کے شدت پسند جو مذہبی شدت پسند ہے، صرف ان کا مسئلہ نہیں ہے۔ یہ افسوس کی بات یہ ہے کہ بھارت کے جو اپنے آپ کو لبرل یا سیکولر کہتے ہیں، ان کا بھی یہی مسئلہ ہے، اور اس کا بھی ثبوت 1971 کی جنگ ہے۔ 1971 کی جنگ میں پاکستان نے بھارت کے خلاف کوئی محاذ نہیں کھولا تھا۔ یہ محاذ بھارت میں ایک سیکولر حکومت اور اس وقت وزیر اعظم اندرا گاندھی، انہوں نے یہ محاذ کھولا اور یہ جنگ مسلط کی۔ اس وقت تک ہمارا مسئلہ، پاکستان کا مسئلہ بھارت کے ساتھ کشمیر تک محدود تھا۔ ہم نے دشمنی کو بڑھایا نہیں، کشمیر سے باہر نہیں نکالا، اور بڑے سویلائز طریقے سے، مہذب طریقے سے اقوام متحدہ تک ہم نے کشمیر کے مسئلے کو، اور ہمارا مسئلہ جو سفارتی مسئلہ اور سیاسی مسئلہ تھا، ہم نے اس مسئلے کو بھارت کے ساتھ UN تک محدود رکھا۔ لیکن 1971 کی جنگ یا 1971 میں ایک سیکولر حکومت نے بھارت کے وہ جو اپنے آپ کو کہتے ہیں کہ نہیں ہم شدت پسند نہیں ہیں، ہم ایکسٹریمسٹ نہیں ہیں، انہوں نے کشمیر کے مسئلے کو کشمیر تک نہیں رکھا، انہوں نے ایک نیا محاذ کھولا، 2 سال تک ایک پراکسی ملیشیا کی تربیت کی، اور 1971 میں پاکستان کی جو انٹرنیشنل بارڈرز ہیں انہیں وائلیٹ کیا، پاکستان کی انویڈ کیا، پراکسی ملیشیا کو استعمال کیا، قتل و غارت کری، اور ایک نیا باب کھول دیا بھارت اور پاکستان کے تعلقات میں، کہ ہمارا مسئلہ جو تھا وہ ہمیشہ کشمیر تک محدود تھا، لیکن یہاں پہ 1971 میں بھارت نے ایک نیا باب کھول دیا۔ یہ سمجھنا بہت ضروری ہے، یہ بہت اہم بات ہے کہ بھارت کے صرف شدت پسند نہیں، بلکہ بھارت کی جو اسٹیبلشمنٹ ہے، جو رولنگ ایلیٹ ہے، جو اپنے آپ کو کہتے ہیں کہ ہم سیکولر ہیں، ہم لبرل ہیں، انہوں نے 1971 میں پورا پاکستان کو توڑنا، پاکستان کو ختم کرنا اپنا مسئلہ بنایا۔ یہ بہت اہم پوائنٹ ہے۔ ڈاکٹر جنید احمد ایک پاکستانی اکانومسٹ ہیں، ورلڈ بینک میں کام کر چکے ہیں، دنیا کی جو بہت ہی بڑی معتبر یونیورسٹیز ہیں، ہارورڈ یونیورسٹی، اسٹینفورڈ یونیورسٹی، وہاں سے فارغ التحصیل ہیں، اور انہوں نے 2017 میں بہت اہم کتاب شائع کی، جو آپ میرے پیچھے اسکرین پہ دیکھ رہے ہیں۔ یہ بہت اہم کتاب ہے۔ ڈاکٹر جنید احمد نے یہ کتاب کیوں لکھی ہے اور اس کتاب کی ضرورت کیوں محسوس کی گئی؟ ڈاکٹر جنید کو باقی اہل فکر پاکستانیوں کی طرح اندیشہ ہے کہ بھارت کا 1971 پر بیانیہ جو ہے، جو نیریٹو ہے، وہ زور پکڑ رہا ہے۔ بنگلہ دیش نے پھانسیوں کے بعد جو موقف اختیار کیا، اس پر پاکستان کی خاموشی پریشان کن ہے۔ حقائق کو باقاعدہ ایک منظم مہم کے تحت مٹایا جا رہا ہے۔ ہمیں ریکارڈ کو درست رکھنے کی ہر ممکن کوشش کرنی ہوگی۔ سنیے ڈاکٹر جنید کو کہ وہ کیا کہتے ہیں۔
It's a very simple answer. I lost a lot of cousins, a lot of friends and many cousins in the East Pakistan war, but that was a personal tragedy. But then the International War Crime Tribunals started and I lost 2 friends whom I knew very well. None of them is responding to the various allegations that are being leveled against Pakistan by the Indian academia, Indian think tanks, backed entirely by the government of India, and also recently by the Awami League government of Hasina Wajid. And the government of Pakistan's total silence and non-responsive attitude. Pakistan has never had a narrative. The President of Pakistan also had gone to Bangladesh, to Dhaka, and he had attempted to give an apology of some sort, which also was no response. So I wanted to give Pakistan a narrative which is based on documents and books written by the Bangladeshis, by the Indians and the Western authors.
مشرقی پاکستان کے حالات اچانک خراب نہیں ہوئے، تاریخ کے ورق پلٹیں تو ہوش ربا حقائق سامنے آتے ہیں۔ 1962 میں شیخ مجیب الرحمان نے ڈھاکہ میں انڈین قونصلیٹ کے ایک آفیسر سے ملاقات کی اور اس میں مجیب نے ایک خط نہرو کے نام ان کے حوالے کیا، اس انڈین ڈپلومیٹ کے۔ اس خط میں درج تھا کہ بنگلہ دیش کی تحریک کے لیے بھارت براستہ لندن ہماری مدد کرے۔ بھارت نے اس خط کو سٹڈی کیا اور ایک سال بعد یعنی 1963 کے شروع میں بھارت نے جواب دیا کہ پاکستانی ریاست ابھی بہت مضبوط ہے، ابھی قبل از وقت ہے، تھوڑا صبر کریں اور اس معاملے کو راز میں رکھیں۔ ابھی عالمی برادری تعاون نہیں بلکہ مخالفت کرے گی، کیونکہ پاکستانی ریاست مضبوط بھی ہے اور اس کے اہم ملکوں سے بہترین تعلقات ہیں۔ اس کہانی کو معید پیرزادہ کی زبانی سنیے۔
He mentions a meeting that takes place with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman on 25th December 1962. 25th December 1962. And the meeting has been organized by Manik Mia, whose name was Tafazul Hussain, who was the editor of the Ittefaq, Daily Ittefaq in Dhaka, Bangladesh then. In this meeting, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman hands over a formal letter for Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Indian Prime Minister, and he requests help to launch a free Bangladesh movement from London.
The Indian Prime Minister's office responds in the beginning of 1963 that we have assessed the situation. You should not move with this movement to London. Right now, the state of Pakistan is very strong. This is all mentioned in the book. And this is not the right time. The international community would not look favorably toward this sort of secessionist movement. You need to organize. We're all available with political, financial, logistical expertise, all kind of help. The help has to be structured through the Indian consulate. Do not go anywhere else. Because in between, before the reply came from from Pandit Nehru, Sheikh Mujib crossed the border and went into East Bengal to meet Sachin Singh, who is chief minister. This is the famous Agartala conspiracy. But the Pandit Nehru and the Prime Minister's office then admonished Sheikh Mujib that do not make any other contacts. That has to be confidential. The contacts have only to be maintained through the Dhaka consulate. We'll provide all kind of help. You need to organize Awami League on the pattern of Congress, the way Mahatma Gandhi had organized the movement, and we will financially support it. And so the process starts not in the significance is the process starts not in 1970 or 71, as the mainstream international media generally tends to believe, but the process was in full swing in the first half of 1963 with Indian IB.
ایک اہم سوال چشمدید گواہ بریگیڈیئر تاج نے اٹھایا ہے۔ عموماً کہا جاتا ہے کہ 1971 کے انتخابات فیر ہوئے تھے۔ 71 کے انتخابات پر بات کرنا ضروری اس لیے ہے کہ 71 کے انتخابات کے بعد جو افراتفری ہوئی تھی مشرقی پاکستان میں، اسی کی بنیاد بنائی تھی مجیب نے اور کنسپریسی کرنے والوں نے اور بھارت نے جسٹیفائی کرنے کے لیے وہ انویژن جو انڈیا نے 71 میں کیا تھا۔ تو پھر سوال یہ اٹھتا ہے کہ کیا واقعی ایسا تھا کہ 71 کے انتخابات فیر تھے؟ بریگیڈیئر تاج اس بات سے اتفاق نہیں کرتے۔ کیوں؟
General Yahya announced that elections will be held in 1970. Elections were held, and it is called fair election, but I won't call it fair election. Because if you force people to vote for some party, that cannot be a fair election. In East Pakistan, nobody except Awami League was allowed to go near the polling stations. And Awami League was so powerful that other parties did not dare to go near polling stations.
1971 کے انتخابات کے حوالے سے ایک اہم بات ڈاکٹر جنید احمد نے کی کہ جب اکتوبر 1970 میں ایک بہت بڑا سیلاب آیا اور ڈھاکہ سے 40 فٹ اونچی لہر ٹکرائی اور ہزاروں ہلاکتیں ہوئیں، تو کیا یہ موزوں وقت تھا انتخابات کروانے کا؟ اس سانحے سے صرف 2 ماہ بعد ہم نے انتخابات کروا دیے۔ سنیے ڈاکٹر جنید کو۔
We talk about this 1970 elections. Just remember that the elections took place in December 1970 to elect an assembly to make the constitution of Pakistan. Okay? And remember please that in October 1970, East Pakistan had received a major cyclone. A 40-foot wave had hit even up to Dhaka. Thousands of people had been killed. Now, how sensible was this? Then we had not been able to respond to that natural calamity in any serious manner. And of course, our resources were also constrained. That 1.5 months later, in December 1970, we had these elections. And we were such foolish in calling those elections as being absolutely fair. I have read repeatedly ad nauseum in books written by Pakistanis that these were the most fair elections ever.
اب ایک اور تاریخی مغالطے کی جانب آئیے. کہا جاتا ہے کہ 93,000 پاکستانی فوجیوں نے ہتھیار ڈالے. 93,000 پاکستانی فوجیوں نے ہتھیار ڈال دیے تھے. اس سے مضحکہ خیز شماریات کی کوئی مثال نہیں ملتی. میں مضحکہ خیز کیوں کہہ رہا ہوں؟ ذرا سنیے ڈاکٹر جنید کو.
The surrender of the 93,000 soldiers. And I knew that Pakistan only had one corps. And one corps has 3 divisions. And 3 divisions has 45,000 men. And out of 45,000 men, 11,000 men were actually in support roles. There were only 34,000 combatants. So how come 93,000 surrendered? 93,000 soldiers never surrendered. It was 34,000 combatant troops, 11,000 support staff, and the rest of them were civilian officers and their wives and their children and their drivers and their khansamas and what have you. And they were all handed over to India so that they could be protected and not be killed by the Awami League miscreants and the Mukti Bahinis and even by the Indians. So that was the first explosion of that myth of 93,000 soldiers surrendered. 93,000 soldiers never surrendered. You just heard Dr. Moid reading out a tweet to you as far back as 2017 when these Indian academics and generals and what have you have been presenting this myth of 93,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered, which never happened.
30 لاکھ لوگ اس جنگ میں ہلاک ہوئے. ایک کتاب ہے جس کا عنوان ہے The Myth of 3 Million. The Myth of 3 Million. یہ کتاب 1972 یعنی کہ جنگ کے 1 سال بعد برطانیہ سے شائع ہوئی. تاج الدین نے کہا کہ 3 لاکھ افراد ہلاک ہوئے اس کتاب میں. لیکن بی بی سی کو انٹرویو دیتے ہوئے جب سراج الرحمان سے پوچھا گیا کتنے افراد ہلاک ہوئے اس جنگ میں, تو جواب میں انہوں نے کہا کہ 3 لاکھ افراد ہلاک ہوئے. لیکن بعد میں بی بی سی نے ہی ایک دفعہ مجیب الرحمان سے پوچھا کہ اس سالے میں کتنے افراد, اس جنگ میں کتنے افراد ہلاک ہوئے. تو ابھی مجیب نے جواب دینے کے لیے منہ کھلا ہی تھا کہ وہاں بیٹھے ایک رپورٹر نے 3 ملین یعنی کہ 30 لاکھ کہہ دیا. بس اس کے بعد یہ ہمیشہ کے لیے 3 ملین یا 30 لاکھ کا ہنسا بن گیا. رپورٹس میں جب چند ہزار ہلاکتیں یا ریپ کے کیسز بتائے جاتے تو مجیب ایسی رپورٹس پھاڑ ڈالتے اور کہتے مجھے نہیں پتا, 3 ملین یا 30 لاکھ کا ہنسا پورا کرو. یہ ساری کہانی بہت انٹرسٹنگ ہے اور یہ کہانی ڈاکٹر جنید کی زبانی سنیے.
How did this myth start? As I mentioned, all sources are Western, Indian or Bangladeshi. Pravda, which was the newspaper and the news agency of the erstwhile Soviet Union, on December 23, 1971, wrote an editorial piece. And in that, it was stated that we believe and we estimate that 3 million people died in East Pakistan during 1971. Mujibur Rahman arrived in Dhaka on the 9th of January when he was released by Bhutto. And he asked Tajuddin as to how many people got killed. And Tajuddin, who was then the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, said 3 lakhs. A few days later, Sirajur Rahman, who was then the BBC Bangla correspondent, also told Mujib that in our estimate 3 lakh people may have been killed. All which would be including Biharis, West Pakistanis, Bengalis, everybody put together. On January 16, Mujib was interviewed by David Frost of BBC, and during that interview, when Mujib was half intoxicated, he was asked by David Frost, how many people got killed? And the Pravda reporter was sitting there who prompted 3 million, and Mujib again repeated 3 million. Subsequently, he and Tajuddin had a number of arguments where Tajuddin kept on saying, I told you 3 lakhs and you made it 3 million, how come? And Mujib's answer was, keep quiet, I have now made it 3 million and that'll stay. This argument continued till January 29, when a commission was set up by Sheikh Mujib to investigate this matter, with 12 members coming from Bangladeshi Army, Border Security Force, Rangers, police, and civilian administration, asked to investigate this matter and to find large, massive mass graves. Yes, what has been stated, some mass graves of maybe 1,000 or less than that were found, but no major mass grave of hundreds or thousands of people coming together was found. In August 1972, this commission was now stuck. They could not prove any figure. So they asked the government of Bangladesh, Finance Ministry, please allocate us some money and we'll need to give some rewards. They published an advertisement in the newspaper that anybody who comes and tells us that so he knows that so many deaths have taken place or he knows somebody who's died, we'll give 1,000 taka for each. The only number that came, the total number that came forward was 38,000.
प्रोपेगेंडा किया गया कि 2 लाख खवातीन की आबरू रेजी की गई 71 की जंग में. बाद में एक हिंसा 2680 का आया. जरा जानिए कि असल कहानी और हकायक क्या है.
So what about the women? 200,000 women raped. They went into details of that also, and they now gave an advertisement and were willing to give 3,000 taka for every case reported. The total number of cases reported was 2,680. They rounded it off to 25,000. When they presented the report to Mujib, he threw it at their face and said, I asked you to prove 3 million, or what have you come up with? Keep the report yourself. Now, this report was leaked, and Abdul Munim printed it in a book by the name of A Myth of 3 Million, The Myth of the 3 Million, which was published from the United Kingdom in 1972, September. Most of what I'm telling you now is coming from there.
1971 की जंग के हवाले से रिकॉर्ड किस कदर महफूज है और जिन लोगों ने प्रोपेगेंडा किया है बिलखुसूस पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ, इनके पास किस कदर हकायक हैं, इस बात का अंदाज़ा इस बात से लगाएं कि भारतीय फौज ने हालिया बरसों में मुक्ति बाहिनी, जो उनकी प्रॉक्सी मिलिशिया है, मुक्ति बाहिनी के लोगों की खदमात के एतराफ़ के तौर पर कुछ इनामात वगैरह देना चाहे तो मालूम हुआ कि इनके पास यानी भारतीय रियासत के पास किसी तरह का रिकॉर्ड नहीं है. भारतीय जनरल जगजीत सिंह अरोड़ा ने तमाम रिकॉर्ड 71 में ही ज़ाया करवा दिया था ताकि पता ना चले कि कौन कौन पाकिस्तानी शहरी जो है वो इंडियन पेरोल पे थे और मुक्ति बाहिनी का हिस्सा बने. ये कहानी टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, जो कि मोतबर अखबार है भारत का, ये उनकी कहानी है, उन्होंने पब्लिश की थी और मुईद पीरजादा ने तफसील बताई है. जरा सुनिए.
When Indian military in 2010 wanted to organize a very big reception for the veterans of the Mukti Bani, they realized they had no records. They had absolutely no records of the Mukti Bani. So the Indian military investigated, this is Times of India, where the records have gone. And they tell that the records were destroyed by General Jagjeet Singh Arora immediately after the end of the war in 1971. What were these records? The records related to the creation of the camps, the training time periods, the locations and logistics, the finances, the orders and assessments made by the Indian Army. And the singlest, I think the single most important significance of these records were, and this was debated in Indian media, was that the records would tell when the process of training and organization of the Mukti Bani camp started. Did they start in March and April 1971, or were they in full swing by the middle of 1969?
1971 की जो इंडियन इन्वेजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान है, ये जो जंग है, इसमें एक बहुत अहम किरदार भारतीय खुफिया एजेंसी रॉ का है. रॉ की तश्कील का क्या मकसद था? रॉ के पहले डायरेक्टर जनरल डीजी जो थे रॉ के, उन्होंने क्या कहा था? और रॉ अब बलूचिस्तान और कराची में इसी अंदाज से क्यों काम कर रही है? देखिए डॉक्टर जुनैद क्या कहते हैं.
RA was created in 1968 with a single purpose: dismember Pakistan. There is no other objective. And this is all stated by the first Director General of RA, and it is repeated ad nauseum. Now the job of the same RA is to create trouble in Balochistan and to separate Balochistan from Pakistan and to create trouble in Karachi. And I would wish that we become cognizant of this and are able to take at least some steps now, which we did not in 1971, and we had to face the debacle which we did.
مشرقی پاکستان کی دارالحکومت ڈھاکہ میں مسٹر بھٹو اور مجیب کے مابین 40 منٹ کی ملاقات میں کیا بات ہوئی تھی یہ ان دونوں افراد کے علاوہ کوئی نہیں جانتا. 19 مارچ کو مجیب نے جنرل یحییٰ کو اس ملاقات کے حوالے سے کیا کہا. سنیے بریگیڈیئر تاج کیا کہتے ہیں.
Meeting was held between Sheikh Mujib and Bhutto separately in the lawn of President House, Dhaka, and they talked for about 40 minutes. What they talked, no one knows except Sheikh Mujib and Bhutto. If anything leaked out, it leaked out either from Bhutto or Sheikh Mujib. On 19th March, Sheikh Mujib told Yahya that he will send a document about his decision to him on 21st March. The document was received and it contained the suggestion of confederation between East and West Pakistan, which of course was not acceptable.
مشرقی پاکستان میں اچانک حالات کیسے خراب ہو گئے. کسی مغربی پاکستان سے تعلق رکھنے والا بینک سے 8,000 سے زیادہ رقم کیوں نہیں نکلوا سکتا تھا. پھر فوج پر حملے ہوئے, شہادتیں ہوئیں, لیکن آخر تک فوج نے ہتھیار کیوں نہ اٹھائے. بریگیڈیئر تاج ایک چشمدید گواہ ہیں, تفصیلات بتا رہے ہیں.
On 23rd of March, it was decided that military action in East Pakistan will be taken. This was the situation all over East Pakistan. Everywhere, every cantonment suffered because of the Sheikh Mujib's orders that were issued. So much so our pay could not be withdrawn from banks, and banks were ordered that not more than 8,000 rupees will be paid to any West Pakistani, maybe an army man or otherwise. So military action was taken.
ڈھاکہ یونیورسٹی کے حوالے سے کہا جاتا ہے کہ 7,000 ہلاکتیں ہوئیں جس میں ٹیچرز تک شامل تھے. جس دن کا یہ واقعہ ہے مشرقی پاکستان کے تمام تعلیمی اداروں میں چھٹیاں تھیں. ڈھاکہ یونیورسٹی آپریشن میں حصہ لینے والے بریگیڈیئر تاج کی زبانی حقیقت جانیے.
I read somewhere that 7,000 people were killed on that night, and including teachers. What were teachers doing at 1 o'clock at night in their colleges and universities when these were closed on 2nd of March? This is all Indian propaganda and a false propaganda.
میجر اکرام سہگل ڈھاکہ کے حالات کے چشمدید گواہ ہیں. انہوں نے بہت سے لوگوں کی جان بچائی. ڈھاکہ میں کیسے آگ لگی اور ہر طرف پھیلتی چلی گئی اس حوالے سے بتا رہے ہیں.
I flew Brigadier Bab, and of course there was fires and roadblocks, and it was paralyzed. But then when I landed back, Colonel GS at that time, Khan Akbar, he ordered me, he said, go and rescue as many people as you can. So I flew back and I picked up people from the center of the pitch in Dhaka Stadium, picked them up from DIT, the building, picked them up from near Baitul Mukarram, picked them up from the farm gate. Wherever I could pick up, drop. I did that for a good about an hour and a half. And then came back, and by this time, it was clear that Dhaka was paralyzed. Thereafter, all the pilots, the Bengali pilots had walked off, and Brigadier Taj said there was no food, there was no water at bases, difficult. You can imagine a country like Bangladesh, and so water and no drinking water. So we were then ferrying, without authorization, flying aircraft like Fokker 27s, seaplanes, anything that we could lay our hands on to deliver to Sri Mandal, to Shastaganj, to God knows how many places we went to, just delivering things. On fourth morning at 4 o'clock, General Sabda Yaqub told me, he said, I want you to go to Chittagong immediately and tell me what's happened in Chittagong. So when I was going out, my batman said, and because he'd overheard me speaking on the telephone, he said, he was half Bengali, half Bihari. He said, sir, can you please find out, my parents live in Firoz Shah Colony. That is next to the railway station. So I flew out on 4th of March, and coming near to Chittagong, I saw this, there was a haze there, but there were fires coming out from the haze. But I went lower down, and by the time I got there, it was light. And Firoz Shah Colony and TNT Colony were burnt out, totally. There were dead bodies lying all over. They were Bihari colonies, basically.
सुनने में आया कि एक पाकिस्तानी यूनिट ने बगावत कर दी है। इकराम सहगल को मालूम हुआ तो हेलीकॉप्टर पर बेखौफ खतर इस यूनिट जा पहुंचे। आगे क्या हुआ, मेजर इकराम सहगल से जानिए।
When I heard that the unit that my father raised on 7th February 1949, 2nd Battalion of the East Bengal Regiment, and which I had grown up in, and my father commanded thereafter, had revolted 26 miles away from Dhaka, I didn't believe that. But because a day before, there was a helicopter, I was on joining time, but my helicopter which was on test, to be tested out because it was repaired, so they said take it out for a test flight. So on a 26 miles away, my unit, I took the helicopter, landed there in Jaidapur, met all the officers. There were 4 West Pakistani officers. They were all hail-hearty. Everybody else, there was no sign of a revolt there or something like that. Came back. So next day when I was told that your unit is revolted, it was unbelievable.
बांग्लादेश में जो फांसियां हुई और जिस तरह की नफरत और तासुब का मुजाहरा किया गया, इस पर इंटरनेशनल माहिर कानून बिलाल अहमद सूफी की राय सुनिए।
The War Crimes Forum, shall we say, because it is not even a criminal court in a proper and a true sense, because the law which creates this actually excludes provisions of Bangladesh Criminal Procedure Code. It also excludes the application of law of evidence of Bangladesh, which means that you can introduce hearsay evidence in the trials that have been carried out in Bangladesh recently. There's also another legal problem with this. You are so far away in terms of time from the venue of the scene of crime.
45 years.
वकुआ इतना पुराना है कि उसकी evidence collection is an uphill task. Witnesses have finished, material is not available, and it is very difficult to attribute a certain wrongful act to an individual and based on that hang him. Third, there has been a very serious miscarriage of justice, what we call the fair trial guarantees that Bangladesh is under international law duty to honor by virtue of having ratified International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which basically means access to the lawyers by the defense. And we know for a fact that lawyers who wanted to represent Jamaat-e-Islami leaders were denied access to them. The witnesses that were wanting to be there in Bangladesh to prove alibi of several of these people were declined permission to travel, and the time given to defense was extremely limited by general criminal standards.
कोई शक नहीं कि डॉक्टर जुनैद की ये किताब बहुत अहम है और रिकॉर्ड की दुरुस्तगी के लिए अहम दस्तावेज़ है, लेकिन क्या हम इस किताब से कोई और कानूनी फ़ायदा भी उठा सकते हैं? इंटरनेशनल माहिर कानून और पाकिस्तान के साबिक फेडरल मिनिस्टर बिलाल अहमद सूफी एक इंतहाई अहम कानूनी नुक्ता बयान कर रहे हैं।
This constitutes sufficient material for investigation in any court of law. This constitutes the starting point. And this is very interesting because it has never been introduced before, that the Gazette of Dhaka was documenting the killings that were being undertaken by non-Bengalis, by Bengalis against each other. Apart from that, Dr. Junaid's books also talks about, and something that Dr. Moeed was alluding to, a very formalized process to dismember Pakistan which had commenced since 1962. And it continued and it transpired into this, which also included outright violation of Article 2.4 of the UN Charter itself. When you are sending forces, when you are training people, when you are arming people to carry out resistance or insurgency, that is a serious violation of international law. Somehow this has been so blatantly done, so consistently done, that we seem to have missed out the obvious. So at a state responsibility, Indians face this charge of having intervened in Pakistan with an intent to dismember it, with an intent to destroy its sovereignty, with an intent to wage war on the state of Pakistan. This is a criminal offense in terms of Section 121 of Pakistan Penal Code and Section 121A of the Pakistan Penal Code. So if Dr. Junaid were to go to SHO Islamabad today and say this book be viewed as sufficient material, it is a cognizable framework.
آج پاکستان میں جو کچھ ہو رہا ہے اس پر ڈاکٹر جنید 71 کی جنگ اور کراچی میں الطاف حسین کی کارروائیوں میں مماثلت دیکھ رہے ہیں. کس قدر حیرت انگیز مماثلت ہے.
The other thing that I want to remind you, and all of you know this, there is a man who doesn't do it anymore, but he used to do it very frequently, sitting in London, Altaf Hussain, who would click his fingers and Karachi will close down. 23 million people. Closed down. And I live in Karachi and I know what kind of a havoc it was being created in the 90s and in the 2000s. Somehow or the other, I don't know who had this brain wave to shut him up. And now like a TV that's been switched off, you don't have him give those speeches anymore. Mujib had done exactly that in East Pakistan in March 1970. Can you imagine the difference was, here is Muttahida, which was not coming out with sickles and swords and dandas all the time. They had Kalashnikovs and other things. But that is what had happened. So not only had they done massive killing in Dhaka, but all over East Pakistan.
یاد رکھیے گا سانحہ مشرقی پاکستان سانحہ کم ہے اور بھارت کی طرف سے پاکستان پر مسلط کی ہوئی جنگ زیادہ ہے.